Close your eyes and allow the gentle hum of the night to lull you into a realm where innovation meets mystery. Tonight, let us journey back to a time when the very air crackled with the promise of change. A time when a visionary stepped forward to harness the power of lightning itself. This is the story of Nikola Tesla, the man who would electrify the world. Imagine a stormy night, the sky alive with electric energy, each flash of lightning a fleeting whisper of genius. In the quiet solitude of his thoughts, Tesla saw more than just nature's fury. He saw a universe of possibilities, a way to light up darkness, to bridge the gaps between distant worlds, and to transform human life through the magic of electricity. His mind was a spark that ignited inventions which defied the limits of his era, innovations that continued to illuminate our modern lives. In this moment, let the steady patter of rain and the soft rustle of the wind remind you of a world on the brink of discovery. Let the ambiance carry you into the past, where every idea was a flicker in the vast darkness, every invention a beacon of hope. As you sink deeper into the gentle embrace of the night, prepare to explore the enigmatic life of Nikola Tesla, a man whose brilliance not only lit up cities but also sparked the imagination of generations to come. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, let us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Hopefully, our story helps any of you struggling to sleep. Insomnia isn't pretty. If there's a specific genre or story you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. If enough people are interested, I'll make it happen as soon as possible. Now, grab a blanket, turn off the lights as always, and let's begin. Tonight, allow his journey to inspire you. Listen closely as the echoes of his dreams intertwine with the quiet rhythm of your heartbeat. This is the beginning of a tale where science and wonder merge into one, setting the stage for a legacy that has forever changed the way we see our world. In the deep stillness of night, beneath a sky torn apart by flashing lightning, a child entered the world. It was July 10th, 1856, and the village of Smiljan, nestled in what is now Croatia, was engulfed in the fury of a summer storm. Thunder rumbled through the hills, rain lashed against rooftops, and with each strike of lightning, the night seemed to pulse with energy. Inside a modest home, a midwife turned to the exhausted mother, whispering in awe, "This child will be a child of the storm." His mother, cradling the newborn in her arms, looked up and replied, "No, he will be a child of the light." And so began the life of Nikola Tesla, a man who would one day command the very forces of nature that heralded his birth. From the very start, young Nikola was not like other children. His mind worked differently, filled with questions, with wonders, with an insatiable thirst for knowledge. The world around him was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a mystery to be unraveled. He spent hours watching the sky, mesmerized by the way clouds formed before a storm, the way the wind whispered through the trees. His mother, Georgina Juka Tesla, was the first to recognize the brilliance in her son. Though she had never received formal education, she possessed a natural talent for invention, designing small household tools and mechanical devices to ease daily life. It was she who nurtured Nikola's creativity, encouraging him to think beyond what he could see. His father, Milutin Tesla, was a Serbian Orthodox priest, a man of deep intellect and eloquence. He wished for Nikola to follow in his footsteps, to study theology and philosophy. But even as a child, Nikola's heart belonged to something else: science, engineering, and above all, electricity. The storms that had once heralded his birth became his fascination. While others cowered at the sight of lightning splitting the sky, Nikola stood in awe. He would run outside, stretching his arms toward the heavens as if trying to capture the energy flashing above him. One evening, he and his mother stood watching a storm roll across the hills. The air was thick with the scent of rain, the sky alive with streaks of light. He turned to her and asked, "Mother, what is lightning? How does it work?" She smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. "That, my son, is the work of nature. But perhaps one day you will understand it better than anyone." And in that moment a dream took root. Even in his earliest years, Tesla's intelligence set him apart. He had an extraordinary ability to visualize concepts in his mind, complex machines, detailed blueprints, before ever drawing them on paper. He could solve mathematical problems instantly, as if the numbers spoke directly to him. But Smiljan was too small to contain such a mind. His ideas, his questions, his dreams stretched far beyond the boundaries of the village, beyond the forests and rivers he had grown up with. And so, as he grew older, he knew that his journey would take him far from home. The world beyond Smiljan was waiting, vast, electric, filled with mysteries yet to be unlocked. But the road ahead was not easy. Tesla's mind burned with visions of energy and invention. Yet the world was not always ready for such brilliance. From the classrooms of Europe to the laboratories of the future, his path was only just beginning. Nikola Tesla's mind was never still. Even as a boy in Smiljan, his thoughts raced ahead of his time, chasing ideas that no one around him could fully understand. But if the quiet village of his childhood had nurtured his curiosity, it was the world beyond that would shape him into a visionary. As he grew older, Tesla's hunger for knowledge could no longer be contained within the rolling hills of Croatia. His father, hoping Nikola would follow in his footsteps as a priest, insisted on a traditional education in theology and literature. But Tesla had other dreams. Dreams filled with numbers, with currents, with forces unseen yet powerful enough to illuminate the night. He knew his destiny lay not in sermons, but in science. At the age of 17, a book changed his life forever. Experimental Researches in Electricity by Michael Faraday. As he turned its pages, Tesla felt a fire ignite within him. Here, in the discoveries of a man who had tamed the mysteries of electromagnetic fields, he saw the future. He saw his future. His father resisted at first, but fate had its own way of intervening. That same year, Nikola fell gravely ill, his body weakened by a sudden illness that left him bedridden for months. Doctors feared he would not recover. Lying in the dim candlelight, Tesla made his father a promise. If he lived, he would dedicate his life to engineering, to science, to the pursuit of understanding electricity itself. Desperate to save his son, Milutin Tesla finally relented. "You will be an engineer," he whispered. And with those words, Nikola's path was set. Tesla's formal education began at the Polytechnic School in Graz, Austria, where he quickly became one of the most brilliant students his professors had ever seen. He did not just learn. He absorbed, devoured, and reinvented. He could solve complex mathematical problems in his head, often leaving his instructors astonished by the precision of his calculations. But it was not just numbers that fascinated him. It was the very essence of electricity. While his classmates saw machines, Tesla saw possibilities. He could visualize entire mechanisms in his mind before ever touching a piece of paper. His obsession with perfection often set him apart. He once argued with a professor over the design of a direct current DC motor, insisting that there had to be a better way. He saw the flaws in existing electrical systems, inefficiencies, limitations, wasted energy. The answer, he believed, lay not in direct current, but in something radical, something the world had not yet embraced. Alternating current, AC. His professors dismissed his ideas. His classmates thought him eccentric. But Tesla was undeterred. He could see a future powered by AC, a future where electricity could travel vast distances without losing power, where cities could glow endlessly, and where energy could be harnessed as effortlessly as the air we breathe. The vision was there. He only needed the chance to bring it to life. Tesla's dedication to his studies bordered on the extreme. He worked relentlessly, often studying for 20 hours a day, forgetting to eat, to sleep, to rest. He immersed himself so fully in his work that his health began to deteriorate. At times, he was so consumed by his thoughts that he lost all sense of time, emerging from his calculations only when his body forced him to stop. His photographic memory allowed him to recall entire books, diagrams, and conversations with perfect clarity, but it also made his mind a relentless machine, never slowing, never ceasing. He once confessed that his thoughts came to him like lightning, brilliant, blinding, and impossible to ignore. But even brilliance has its price. Tesla's intense focus, combined with his perfectionism, began to take a toll. He became withdrawn, his friendships faded, and soon his professors grew concerned. The young prodigy who had once dazzled them was now pushing himself beyond his limits. And then one day everything collapsed. In his third year at the Polytechnic, Tesla's health gave way. The sleepless nights, the constant strain, the weight of his own expectations, they finally overcame him. He suffered a breakdown, vanishing from the university without completing his degree. His professors assumed he had been lost to madness. His brilliance burned out too soon. His family feared for his well-being, unsure of what would become of the boy who had once seen electricity as more than just power, but as a living force. For a time, Tesla disappeared into obscurity, wandering through the countryside, seeking solace in nature, in books, in quiet contemplation. His vision had not faded, but the world seemed to have turned its back on him. Yet fate was not done with him. It would not be in Austria that Tesla's ideas would change the world. Nor would it be in the classrooms of Europe. His true destiny awaited him across the ocean, in a land where ambition and invention ruled, a land where he would meet a man named Thomas Edison, and where a battle for the future of electricity would begin. But the world was not yet ready for his ideas, and so Tesla left Europe behind, setting sail for America, the land of opportunity, and of a man named Thomas Edison. What followed would be a rivalry like no other, a battle of currents that would shape the future of the modern world. The year was 1884. A steamship cut through the Atlantic waves, carrying a man with nothing but a dream, a handful of coins, and a letter of introduction. He had left behind the familiar landscapes of Europe, the classrooms where his ideas had been dismissed, the shadows of his failures. Ahead of him lay America, a land of invention, ambition, and opportunity. Nikola Tesla stepped onto the bustling streets of New York City, his eyes filled with the energy of a world on the verge of something great. Towering smokestacks loomed above him, carriages rattled along cobblestone streets, and electric lamps flickered dimly in the evening haze. This was the city of progress, and in its heart stood a man who had already carved his name into history: Thomas Edison. Edison was already a legend, a man celebrated for bringing electric light to the world. His direct current systems powered homes, businesses, and entire streets. To many, he was a visionary. To Tesla, he was an opportunity. Armed with a letter of recommendation from a former employer, Tesla sought out Edison, hoping to prove himself. The letter read, "My dear Edison, I know of two great men, and you are one of them. The other is this young man." Edison was intrigued. He hired Tesla on the spot, bringing him into his workshop to work on improving his existing electrical systems. But it did not take long for the two men to realize how different they truly were. Edison, ever the practical businessman, relied on trial and error, solving problems through endless tinkering. Tesla, with his mind like a lightning storm, could visualize entire machines before they were built. Where Edison relied on persistence, Tesla relied on precision. Their approaches clashed from the start. Then came the true point of contention: direct current versus alternating current. Edison had built his empire on direct current, DC, a steady, continuous flow of electricity. But DC had its limitations. It could only travel short distances before losing power, requiring power stations on nearly every block. It was inefficient, expensive, and impractical for large-scale electrification. Tesla, however, had a different vision. He had spent years perfecting the concept of alternating current, AC, a system that allowed electricity to be transmitted over vast distances with minimal energy loss. AC could power entire cities from a single source. It was the future. Tesla presented his ideas to Edison, convinced that AC was the superior solution. But Edison would not hear of it. He had invested too much into DC, built too much of his empire upon it. He dismissed Tesla's ideas, calling them impractical, even dangerous. Frustrated but determined, Tesla continued working, hoping to prove himself. Then came a final blow. Edison had promised Tesla $50,000, a fortune at the time, if he could improve the efficiency of Edison's DC generators. Tesla, relentless as ever, did exactly that. He made Edison's systems far more effective, and when he finally asked for his reward, Edison simply laughed. "You don't understand our American humor," Edison reportedly said. Tesla had given everything to prove himself, and he had been betrayed. Furious and disillusioned, he quit. With no job and no money, Tesla found himself digging ditches to survive. The man, who had once envisioned lighting up entire cities, now worked in the dirt, exhausted and humiliated. But in those long, grueling days, his resolve only grew stronger. He would not let Edison's rejection stop him. And then fate intervened. George Westinghouse, a wealthy industrialist and inventor, had been watching the rise of electrical power. He believed in alternating current, and when he heard of Tesla's ideas, he knew he had found the man who could bring them to life. Westinghouse offered Tesla funding, resources, and, most importantly, belief in his vision. With Westinghouse's support, Tesla's alternating current began to spread. Edison saw the threat immediately. Thus began the War of Currents, a battle not just between two men but between two visions of the future. Edison launched an aggressive campaign against AC, determined to destroy Tesla's reputation. He spread fear, claiming that AC was deadly, unsafe, and unfit for public use. He staged gruesome demonstrations, electrocuting animals with AC to show its dangers. He even worked behind the scenes to create the electric chair, hoping that if AC became associated with death, the public would reject it. But Tesla was undeterred. He and Westinghouse fought back, demonstrating the safety and efficiency of AC in bold, dramatic ways. Then, in 1893, came the defining moment. Tesla and Westinghouse won the contract to power the Chicago World's Fair, the first all-electric World's Fair. It was a spectacle like no other. Under Tesla's system, the fairgrounds glowed with thousands of electric lights, dazzling visitors with a vision of a future powered by AC. It was undeniable proof that alternating current was not only safe, but superior. The victory was sealed when Tesla's AC system was chosen to harness the power of Niagara Falls, bringing electricity to entire cities. It was the final triumph. Edison had lost. Though AC would go on to power the modern world, The battle had taken its toll on Tesla. While Edison remained a wealthy businessman, Tesla cared little for money or patents. He gave away many of his royalties, prioritizing discovery over personal gain. But even with victory in hand, his greatest dreams were still ahead of him. He had conquered the world of electricity, but now his mind turned to something even greater. Energy that moved through the air, power that needed no wires, inventions that could change humanity forever. The battle of electricity had been won, but Tesla's true dreams were still far beyond what the world could understand. Dreams of free energy, wireless power, and machines that could change the course of humanity itself. Nikola Tesla had won the war of currents. Alternating current, AC, now powered cities, factories, and homes, spreading across the world like a great, invisible river of energy. Yet, despite his victory, Tesla did not linger in triumph. His mind had already moved beyond wires and circuits, beyond the limitations of copper and steel. Electricity, he believed, should not be confined to cables and power stations. It should be free, flowing through the air as effortlessly as the wind. He had already conquered the battle for power. Now, he sought to revolutionize how it was delivered. And so, he turned to his most ambitious dream yet, wireless energy transmission. Tesla's vision was grand, almost otherworldly. He imagined a world where energy was plucked from the very ether, where power stations were obsolete, and where light, heat, and motion could be summoned from the sky itself. His inspiration came from nature. He had long marveled at lightning, the raw, untamed energy that streaked across the heavens. If the earth itself could produce such immense power, why could it not be harnessed? Why should mankind be shackled by wires and fuel when energy surrounded them at all times? He envisioned a system that would transmit electricity through the air, much like radio waves. People could light their homes, power their machines, and communicate across great distances, all without a single wire. It was an idea that seemed like magic. And so, in 1901, on the shores of Long Island, New York, Tesla began building his greatest experiment, the Wardenclyffe Tower. The structure rose like something from the pages of a science fiction novel, an enormous wooden tower crowned with a gleaming metal dome, standing nearly 200 feet tall. Beneath it, buried deep in the earth, were giant copper-grounding plates, designed to tap into the natural electrical currents of the planet. Tesla was convinced that by sending high-frequency electrical signals into the ground, he could create a global energy network, a wireless web of power that anyone, anywhere, could access. But Wardenclyffe was more than just an energy project. It was a gateway to the future. Tesla believed the tower could transmit not just electricity, but information. Long before the internet, long before satellites and fiber optics, Tesla envisioned wireless communication, a way for people to send voices, images, and data across the world instantly. If successful, Wardenclyffe would not only power the world, it would connect it. But not everyone shared Tesla's vision. Investors were skeptical. The world had only just begun to understand wired electricity. Wireless power seemed like fantasy, and then there was the issue of profit. Energy companies thrived on selling electricity. If Tesla succeeded in making energy free, the entire industry would collapse. The wealthy elite, those who controlled the flow of power, both literally and figuratively, were not eager to see Tesla's dream come to life. J.P. Morgan, one of Tesla's key financial backers, had originally supported Wardenclyffe, believing it would be a powerful radio transmission station. But when Tesla revealed his true intentions, free energy for all, Morgan withdrew his funding. "If anyone can draw power, where do we put the meter?" Morgan reportedly said. Without money, the project stalled. Tesla poured his own wealth into Wardenclyffe, selling patents, borrowing funds, desperately trying to keep the dream alive. But the world around him was changing. Other inventors, other technologies were rising. His old rival Edison had shifted his focus. Industry giants were looking toward petroleum, toward coal, toward energy sources that could be controlled and sold. Tesla, once the celebrated genius of electricity, was now seen as an eccentric. His ideas too grand, too impractical, too ahead of their time. And then the final blow came. In 1917, with debts mounting and no more investors willing to support him, Tesla was forced to abandon Wardenclyffe. The tower, his greatest creation, his bridge to the future, was dismantled and sold for scrap to pay off creditors. The dream of free energy was crushed. Though the tower was gone, Tesla never stopped believing in his vision. Even in his later years, he continued refining his theories, sketching new designs, dreaming of a world powered by invisible forces. He spoke of Tesla coils capable of lighting entire cities without wires. He imagined a world where ships, planes, and automobiles ran on wireless power, never needing fuel. He designed machines that could tap into the natural frequencies of the Earth, harnessing energy from the very planet itself. But the world was not yet ready for Nikola Tesla. His ideas remained locked away in notebooks, his experiments left unfinished, his greatest inventions only glimpsed in the flickers of lightning that still fascinated him as they had in his childhood. He had seen the future, but he had lived too soon. Though the tower fell, Tesla's mind never stopped searching for the next great breakthrough. Even as he aged, his visions remained as bright as the lightning he once marveled at as a child. But time was running out. And as the world moved on, the man who once electrified it faded into the shadows. The world moved forward, but Nikola Tesla remained behind. Once he had illuminated entire cities, captured lightning in his hands, and envisioned a future where energy flowed freely, untethered by wires or greed. But time had passed, and the world had chosen a different path. Industry had turned toward fossil fuels. Corporations had seized control of power, and Tesla, once celebrated as a visionary, was now seen as an eccentric, a forgotten genius lost in the shadows of progress. The man who had once stood at the forefront of the electrical revolution now lived alone in a modest hotel room in New York City. The grand laboratories, the great inventions, the towering experiments, gone. He spent his days walking through the city streets, feeding pigeons in the park, speaking softly to them as though they understood his words. In a way, they were his only companions. Though the world had turned away, Tesla's mind never stopped searching, never stopped dreaming. Even in solitude, he continued to fill pages of notebooks with new ideas. Machines that could harness the energy of the Earth, flying vehicles powered without fuel, technologies that stretched beyond what even modern science could understand. But there were no investors left, no financiers willing to gamble on a man whose greatest inventions had never been fully realized. The money dwindled, and with it, the last remnants of Tesla's influence. He had never cared for wealth, had given away fortunes in pursuit of knowledge, and so he lived humbly, moving from one hotel to another, surviving on the kindness of those who still remembered his name. Some still sought him out, young inventors, journalists, those who had heard whispers of the great Tesla and wanted to meet the man behind the myth. They found a frail figure, dressed in an old suit, his piercing eyes still filled with the brilliance of 1,000 untold inventions. In his final years, Tesla spoke often of energy, how it moved, how it could be harnessed, how humanity had only begun to scratch the surface of what was possible. He was convinced that the greatest discoveries were yet to come, that one day the world would understand what he had seen so clearly. But time was unkind. On the evening of January 7th, 1943, in his small room at the New Yorker hotel, Nikola Tesla passed away, alone. He was 86 years old. His death went largely unnoticed at first. No grand tributes, no great mourning from the scientific community. A quiet ending for a man whose mind had once burned with the light of 1,000 stars. Yet, even in death, Tesla's energy did not fade. In the days that followed, the FBI seized his remaining papers, fearing that Tesla's research contained secrets too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. To this day, much of his work remains shrouded in mystery, locked away in the archives of history. But his legacy could not be erased. Every time a city lights up, every time an engine hums to life, every time a signal travels through the air unseen, Tesla is there. His fingerprints are on the modern world, woven into the very fabric of how we live, how we communicate, how we move forward. Tesla may have left this world, but his energy still flows through it, lighting up our cities, powering our homes, and inspiring those who dare to dream. The man is gone, but the current remains, flowing endlessly into the future. Nikola Tesla may have left this world, but his legacy never faded. His name, once buried beneath the weight of forgotten genius, has since risen like a distant star, one that only grew brighter with time. Today, his inventions power our homes, his ideas shape modern technology, and his dreams of wireless energy remain a source of endless inspiration. But beyond his contributions to science, beyond the currents that hum through the world because of him, Tesla leaves behind something even greater, a lesson in vision, perseverance, and the boundless nature of human potential. Tesla was a man ahead of his time. His ideas were so radical, so revolutionary, that they were often dismissed as impossible. Investors abandoned him, competitors fought against him, and in the end, he was left with only his dreams. But he never stopped. His story reminds us that those who push the boundaries of what is possible often walk a lonely path. The world does not always understand visionaries. Many of history's greatest minds, Galileo, Van Gogh, Turing, were not appreciated in their own lifetimes. True brilliance is rarely recognized when it first appears. It takes time for the world to catch up. Tesla teaches us that rejection does not mean failure, that being different, thinking differently, is not a weakness. It is a strength. Tesla cared little for money. He gave away fortunes, refused to patent some of his greatest ideas, and spent his life in pursuit of discovery, not profit. While others sought power, he sought understanding. In a world where success is often measured in wealth and status, Tesla's life reminds us that true fulfillment comes not from riches, but from purpose. What if we measured success not by how much we accumulate, but by how much we contribute? By the ideas we bring to life, the knowledge we share, the dreams we dare to chase. Tesla shows us that knowledge is not meant to be hoarded, but shared. That innovation should serve humanity, not just those who can afford it. Perhaps Tesla's greatest lesson is this: never stop dreaming. He saw beyond what was into what could be. He looked at the sky and saw machines flying without fuel. He looked at the earth and imagined energy flowing freely to all. He looked at the stars and believed that one day humanity would reach beyond them. Many of his dreams were never realized in his lifetime. But that does not mean they were lost. They live on, inspired by those who continue his work, who dare to think beyond the limits of today. And so, as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, let Tesla's story linger in your thoughts. Let his questions become your own. Let his wonder remind you that there is always more to discover, more to create, more to dream. Perhaps, in your dreams tonight, you will see the world as Tesla did, filled with light, filled with energy, filled with infinite possibilities waiting to be unlocked.